The great silver towers of the Galactic Council stretched into the purple sky like metal fingers. Captain Taeho looked up at them through the window of his small ship. The towers were huge, each one bigger than the tallest building on Earth. They showed how powerful the Council was. Taeho's ship was called Soul's Promise. It was not very big. Next to the Council's massive warships, it looked like a tiny bug. The Council ships were made of crystal and metal. They had big guns that could destroy whole planets. Soul's Promise had simple metal walls and basic weapons. "Captain, we're getting a message from the Council," said Bora. She was sitting at the communications desk. Her fingers moved over the controls. "They want us to dock at Port 7, Taeho nodded. "Take us in slowly, Bora. Let them see we're not a threat." Wu Jin, the ship's engineer, looked at his screens. "Captain, their ships are amazing. Look at these energy readings. Each of their battle cruisers has more power than our biggest Earth stations." "Keep scanning everything, Wu Jin," Taeho said quietly. "We need to learn all we can." The docking bay was enormous. Hundreds of alien ships filled the space. There were long, snake-like vessels from the Kalari people. There were round bubble ships from the Waterworld Aquarians. All of them were much bigger than Soul's Promise. Guards met them at the airlock. The guards were tall, with blue skin and 4 arms. They wore shiny armor and carried energy weapons. They looked at the humans like they were insects. "Follow us," one guard said. His voice was cold. "Do not touch anything. Do not speak unless spoken to." Taeho and his team walked through long hallways. The walls were covered with pictures of the Council's victories. They saw images of planets burning. They saw fleets of ships bowing to Council forces. The message was clear. The Council always won. They entered a huge room with a dome ceiling. In the center sat the Council members. There were 12 of them, each from a different alien race. They sat on floating chairs that glowed with power. Admiral Kyung-min sat in the highest chair. He was the Supreme Fleet Commander. Kyung-min looked down at the humans. His eyes were yellow and cold. "So these are the creatures from Earth," he said. His voice echoed in the big room. "How small they are. How weak they look." The other Council members laughed. One of them, a creature with tentacles for arms, spoke up. "Their ship barely has any weapons. Their technology is so old. They still use chemical fuel." Taeho stood straight and calm. "Honored Council members, we come in peace. Earth wishes to join the galactic community." "Join?" Kyung-min's laugh was harsh. "You mean surrender? That is what all new species do. They become our servants and we protect them." Do-hyun, the intelligence officer, stood quietly behind Taeho. His eyes moved around the room. He was recording everything with a tiny hidden camera. Every face, every word, every detail. "We offer Earth the same deal as others," Kyung-min continued. "You will give us your resources. You will follow our laws. Your ships will serve our fleet. In return, we will not destroy you." The room was silent. All the Council members watched the humans, waiting for them to beg or cry. Instead, Taeho just nodded. "This is a big decision," Taeho said. "We must speak with our government on Earth. May we have time to consider?" Kyung-min waved one hand. "Of course. We are not unreasonable. You have 3 rotations of our sun. That is about 5 of your Earth days. Then you must choose, serve us or be pacified." The word pacified made the room feel colder. Everyone knew what it meant. The Council's ships would come to Earth. They would destroy the cities and armies. Any humans left alive would become slaves. "We understand," Taeho said. "We will return with our answer." As they walked back to their ship, Bora whispered, "Captain, did you see their faces? They think we're afraid." "Good," Taeho whispered back. "Let them think that." Wu Jin was excited about all the technology he had seen. "Their power systems are incredible. But Captain, I noticed something strange. All their weapons are designed to destroy big targets. Planets, cities, fleets. They don't seem ready for different kinds of fighting." Back on Soul's Promise, the crew prepared to leave. The Council guards watched them go. The guards were bored. To them, this was just another weak species asking to join. Soon Earth would bow down like all the others. But Do-hyun was not thinking about bowing down. He was thinking about all the information he had gathered. The Council was strong, yes, but they were also proud. Too proud. They thought no one could challenge them. "Captain," Do-hyun said as they flew away from the station, "I intercepted some of their communications. They're already sending ships toward Earth." Taeho was not surprised. "How many ships?" The third pacification fleet. 200 warships. They're moving fast. Bora looked shocked. But they said we had 5 days. They lied, Taeho said simply. They always planned to attack. The meeting was just for show. As Sol's promise moved away from the council station, Taeho opened a special communication channel. It was quantum technology, much faster than anything the council had. Earth would know about the fleet in minutes, not hours. Earth Control, this is Sol's promise, Taeho said into the communicator. The council has rejected peaceful contact. They are sending 200 ships. Request permission to proceed to Phase 2. The answer came quickly. It was from Jiwoo, Earth's defense minister. Her voice was calm and steady. Permission granted, Captain. All observers are in position. Begin Phase 2 when ready. Taeho smiled for the first time since arriving at the council station. Understood, Earth Control. See you soon. Behind them, the council's silver towers grew smaller. The aliens in those towers thought they had just met another weak species. They thought Earth would fall like all the others. They were very, very wrong. In the dark space between stars, other ships were moving. Ships the council had never seen. Ships that had been watching and waiting for 50 years. The observers were finally ready to act. Sol's promise flew through the dark between stars. The ship's lights were dimmed to save power. Captain Taeho sat in his chair, reading reports on his screen. The news was not good. Captain, I've broken their communication codes, Do-hyun said. He looked tired from working all night. The council fleet is moving faster than we thought. They will reach Earth in 8 days. Bora turned from her station. 8 days? But they told us we had 5 days to decide. They planned to attack from the beginning, Do-hyun explained. The meeting was fake. They wanted to see how weak we were. Woojin shook his head. 200 ships. Each one bigger than anything Earth has ever built. How can we fight that? Taeho was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. We don't fight them, Woojin. We've been preparing for this for 50 years. The communication system beeped. A message was coming from Earth. Jiwoo's face appeared on the screen. She was in the Defense Command Center. Behind her, dozens of people worked at computers. Captain Taeho, we received your report, Jiwoo said. The council is making the same mistake as always. They think size means strength. What are your orders, Minister? Taeho asked. Continue to Phase 2. All observer posts are ready. Hanul will begin the final preparations. Far away from the council's main world, something strange was happening. The Kalari people lived on hot desert planets. Their cities were built underground to stay cool. For weeks now, they had seen strange lights in their night sky. Shinwoo was a young Kalari worker. He was fixing a water pump when he saw the lights again. They moved in straight lines across the stars. They were too small to be council ships, too fast to be cargo vessels. Elder Mokran, the lights are back, Shinwoo called to his boss. The old Kalari came outside. His 4 eyes looked up at the dark sky. I see them, young one. They have been watching us for many cycles. Should we report them to the council? Mokran made a negative gesture with his tentacles. The council does not listen to worker reports. Besides, these ships do nothing. They only watch. On another world, the Threxians had similar stories. These bird-like people lived in tall crystal cities. Their sharp eyes could see great distances. For months, they had spotted small ships at the edges of their solar system. Youngai was a Threxian scout pilot. Her job was to check on mining ships in the outer system. Last week, she had seen something impossible. A ship that seemed to appear from nowhere. It scanned her vessel for exactly 30 seconds, then vanished. Flight leader Namho, Jung-ae reported over the radio. I've seen another ghost ship. Grid 77 Alpha. Namho's voice crackled back. Confirmed, Jung-ae. That's the 15th sighting this month. Someone is mapping our entire system. Back at the council station, Admiral Kyung-min was reading reports in his private office. The reports mentioned these ghost ships and silent watchers. He was not worried. The council had the biggest fleet in the galaxy. A few small scout ships meant nothing. His assistant, So Young, knocked on the door. She was a junior analyst, very smart but still learning. Admiral, I've been studying the watcher ship reports. What about them? Kyung-min asked without looking up from his papers. Sir, I think there's a pattern. These ships have been seen near every major council world, every fleet base, every important facility. Now Kyung-min looked at her. Show me. So Young put a holographic map in the air. Hundreds of red dots marked the locations where watcher ships had been seen. Together they covered every important place in council space. This looks like Reconnaissance, So Young said carefully. Someone is studying all our defenses. Kyungmin studied the map. There were too many red dots. No single species could have so many ships. Which species could do this? That's the problem, sir. The ships don't match any known designs. They appear and disappear without using normal engines. Our sensors can barely detect them. For the first time, Kyungmin felt a small touch of worry, but he pushed it away. The council had ruled for 10,000 years. No one could challenge them. Probably smugglers, he decided, or pirates. Double the patrols around important worlds. So Young wanted to say more, but she knew better. Junior analysts did not argue with Supreme Fleet commanders. Meanwhile, on a hidden station between stars, Hanul was preparing for the most important mission in human history. She was the director of Human Defense Command. Around her, hundreds of technicians worked at their stations. Status report, Hanul said. All observer posts are active, reported Mingi, her second in command. Quantum anchors are in position around every major council facility. Temporal scanners? Online and mapping. We have complete real-time data on all council fleet movements. Hanul nodded. This was the result of 50 years of careful work. While the council built bigger ships and stronger weapons, humans had focused on different technology. They had learned to bend space and time itself. Any word from Captain Taeho? Hanul asked. He's proceeding to Earth as planned. The council fleet will arrive in 7 days. Perfect timing. Hanul looked at the big display screen. It showed the entire galaxy. Red dots marked council worlds. Blue dots marked human observer posts. There were thousands of blue dots. For 50 years, human ships had moved through space like ghosts. They used quantum technology to phase in and out of normal spacetime. They could appear anywhere, scan everything, then disappear without a trace. The council had noticed them sometimes. But they saw only a few small ships. They never understood that each observer post was actually a weapon more powerful than anything they could imagine. Young Sik, the chief scientist, approached Hanul's station. Director, all systems show green. The quantum deletion array is ready. Excellent. And the demonstration target? The abandoned council outpost in the Kepler system. It's been empty for 20 years. Perfect for showing what we can do without hurting anyone. Hanul allowed herself a small smile. The council thought they were dealing with primitive humans. They thought Earth was helpless. Tomorrow they would learn how wrong they were. Across the galaxy, Sol's Promise continued its journey home. In a few days, the ship would face 200 council warships. It seemed impossible that one small vessel could survive such a battle. But Sol's Promise would not be alone. And this would not be a battle in any way the council understood. The age of galactic bullies was about to end. Admiral Yu Jin stood on the bridge of his flagship Cosmic Authority. Through the big windows, he could see his entire fleet. 200 council warships flew in perfect formation. Each ship was huge, covered in weapons and shields. This was the third pacification fleet, one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. Admiral, we're approaching the human solar system, reported his tactical officer Minsu. Long-range sensors show nothing. Yujin frowned. Nothing? No defense stations, sir. No orbital fortresses. No fleet waiting for us. The system looks completely undefended. That was strange. Most species built at least some defenses around their home worlds. Even weak species tried to put up a fight. But the humans seem to have done nothing. Maybe they're hiding behind their moon, suggested another officer. Minsu shook his head. We've scanned everything, sir. There are some satellites around the third planet, some space stations, but no military ships at all. Yujin walked to the sensor station. The human home system looked peaceful and quiet. Ships moved between the planets, but they were clearly cargo vessels and passenger transports. Nothing that could fight a council warship. Wait, Minsu said suddenly. There is one ship. It's small. On the main screen, a single vessel appeared. It was Sol's Promise, the same diplomatic ship that had visited the council station. It sat alone in space halfway between the human world and Yujin's fleet. One ship? Yujin laughed. They send one tiny ship against 200 warships? Are they insane? The communication system activated. Captain Taeho's face appeared on the screen. He looked calm and relaxed, like he was having a friendly conversation instead of facing certain death. Admiral Yujin, Taeho said politely, welcome to our solar system. I hope your journey was comfortable. Yujin could hardly believe what he was hearing. Captain Taeho, you need to surrender immediately. Your world has refused to join the Council. We are here to pacify your system. Actually, Admiral, I'm afraid there's been a mistake, Tejo replied. We need to discuss the terms of your surrender. The bridge of cosmic authority went completely silent. Every officer stared at the screen. Had the human captain gone crazy? My surrender? Eugen's voice rose. Captain, look around you. I have 200 warships. You have one small vessel with no weapons. Tejo nodded thoughtfully. Yes, I see your ships, Admiral. Very impressive. But you're looking at this wrong. You see, humanity has a different way of thinking about war. Minsu was checking his instruments again. Something was bothering him about the energy readings from the human ship. The power output didn't match its size. While your people build bigger ships and stronger shields, Tejo continued, we asked ourselves a simple question. Why destroy many ships slowly when you can destroy all ships instantly? What are you talking about? Eugen demanded. On Earth, Hanul watched the conversation from Defense Command. Around her, technicians prepared systems that had been hidden for 50 years. Director, all quantum anchors are active, reported Youngsik. Target selected for demonstration? Hanul asked. Yes, ma'am. The old Council outpost in Kepler system. It's been abandoned for 20 years. No life forms. Proceed with demonstration. Back in space, Tejo was sending coordinates to Admiral Eugen. Admiral, please turn your long-range sensors to these coordinates. You might find what you see there interesting. Eugen looked at his tactical officer. Minsu quickly programmed the sensors to look at the coordinates. They showed an old Council outpost 3 star systems away. It was one of hundreds of abandoned stations scattered around the galaxy. I see an old station, Eugen said. What about it? Just watch, Tejo said simply. On Earth, Hanul gave a quiet nod to her staff. 50 light-years away, one of humanity's quantum anchors activated. The Council fleet watched their sensors in shock. The abandoned station simply disappeared. Not destroyed by explosion or energy beam. Not broken into pieces. It just stopped existing. One moment the station was there. The next moment there was empty space. The sensors showed no debris, no energy signature, no trace that anything had ever been there. What? What happened to it? Eugen whispered. Minsu was checking and rechecking his instruments. Sir, it's gone. Completely gone. Like it was never there. On Sol's promise, a woman named Unji stepped forward. She was the ship's physicist and expert in quantum mechanics. Admiral, let me explain what you just saw. Humanity spent 3 centuries studying the fundamental forces of the universe. While you focused on building bigger weapons, we learned to manipulate reality itself. Eugen felt cold fear growing in his stomach. That's impossible. Every observer post your people ignored was actually a quantum anchor. Unji continued. They create controlled tiers in space-time. We can selectively remove any matter from existence. The abandoned station wasn't destroyed, Admiral. It was deleted. The bridge of cosmic authority was silent except for the humming of machines. Every officer was thinking the same thing. If humans could delete a space station, they could delete ships too. But the demonstration wasn't finished. On Earth, Junho activated a second system. He was another tactical coordinator, responsible for intelligence operations. For 50 years, human technology had been doing more than watching. It had been infiltrating. Across Council space, the most secure military installations suddenly received impossible data transmissions. Complete blueprints of their own facilities appeared on their computers. Detailed maps of their own bases. Lists of their own secret codes. The information was being transmitted from inside their own buildings. Somehow the humans had gotten past every shield, every wall, every security system. Admiral Eugen's communication panel lit up with urgent messages from across the galaxy. Every Council base was reporting the same thing. The humans knew everything. How? Eugen asked. His voice was barely a whisper. Quantum phase technology, Tejo explained. Our observers don't just watch from outside, Admiral. They can phase through any barrier. They've been inside your facilities for decades, mapping everything, recording everything. The terrible truth was becoming clear. Humanity hadn't just been watching the Council. They had been preparing to destroy it completely. Minsu's instruments were going crazy. Admiral, I'm detecting quantum signatures all around us. All around the entire fleet. Eugen understood now. His 200 ships weren't surrounding one helpless human vessel. They were surrounded by invisible quantum anchors. Every ship in his fleet could be deleted from existence at any moment. Admiral, Tejo said gently, I think it's time we discussed your surrender. Yujin looked around his bridge. His officers were staring at him, waiting for orders. But what orders could he give? How do you fight an enemy that can erase you from reality itself? For the first time in 10,000 years, a council fleet faced an enemy they could not defeat. Back at the council's main station, Admiral Kyung-min was having the worst day of his life. Reports were flooding in from across the galaxy. Every military base, every secret facility, every hidden research station was sending the same message. The humans knew everything. Sir, we're receiving another transmission from the human homeworld, So-young said. Her voice was shaking. The main screen showed a human woman sitting in what looked like a command center. She had short black hair and calm eyes. Behind her, dozens of people worked at computers. I am Nari, Earth's chief diplomat, the woman said. I believe it's time we had an honest conversation. Kyung-min felt his 4 hearts beating too fast. What do you want? First, let me explain what's happening. Right now, every council facility in the galaxy is targeted by our quantum deletion system. Every ship in your fleets, every station, every military base. We can remove all of it from existence with a single command. The council chamber was dead silent. The 12 council members sat in their floating chairs staring at the screen in horror. However, Nari continued, we don't want to destroy you. We want to free you. Free us? Kyung-min's voice cracked. For 10,000 years, the council has ruled through fear. You destroy any species that won't obey. You turn proud civilizations into servants. This ends today. So-young was frantically checking reports from across council space. Admiral, our analysts confirm it. The humans have quantum anchors positioned around every major council asset. Thousands of them. Another council member, a creature with tentacles, spoke up. How long have you been planning this? Nari smiled slightly. 247 years. Ever since we first detected your radio signals and learned what kind of government you were. Admiral Kyung-min felt sick. While the council had been building bigger fleets and conquering more worlds, humanity had been quietly preparing to end their empire. What are your terms? He asked quietly. Simple. The Galactic Council will dissolve immediately. In its place, we'll create a true democratic alliance. Every species gets equal representation. No more pacification fleets, no more forcing worlds to surrender. And if we refuse, Nari's expression didn't change. Then the council ends anyway. But with you still alive to help build something better, or without you, your choice. On Sol's promise, Captain Taeho was still facing Admiral Yujin's fleet. The 200 council warships hung in space like giant metal beasts. But they were helpless beasts now. Admiral, Taeho said, your superiors are negotiating Earth's terms, but I wanted you to understand something important. Yujin had been silent for several minutes, staring at his tactical screens. The quantum signatures around his fleet were getting stronger. What? This technology we've developed? It's not really a weapon. It's a tool for peace. Peace? Yujin laughed bitterly. You can delete entire fleets from existence. Exactly. Which means no one will ever be able to threaten others with military force again. Taeho's voice was calm and reasonable. Think about it, Admiral. What happens when everyone knows that aggression leads to instant deletion? Yunji stepped forward again. We spent centuries studying not just quantum physics, but also history and psychology. Every war, every conflict, every act of aggression comes from the belief that force can solve problems. We're removing that belief. Yujin was beginning to understand. You're making war impossible, not impossible. Pointless, Taeho corrected. Why build armies when armies can be deleted? Why threaten others when threats become meaningless? Minsu looked up from his instruments. Admiral, I'm getting reports from our other fleets. Quantum signatures are appearing around all of them. Every council ship in the galaxy is surrounded. The scope of humanity's operation was staggering. For 50 years, they had quietly positioned quantum anchors throughout council space. Not just around military targets, but around civilian installations too. Anything that could be used to wage war was now under human control. Back on Earth, Hanul was coordinating the largest military operation in galactic history. But it was a military operation designed to end all military operations. Status report, she said. All quantum anchors active and stable, reported Mingi. We have complete coverage of council space. Every fleet, every base, every weapons factory. Resistance? None so far. I think they're too shocked to fight back. Young-sik approached with a data pad. Director, we're receiving surrender transmissions from 17 council fleets. More coming in every minute, Anil nodded. This was going exactly as planned. Humanity had learned an important lesson from studying galactic history. The best way to win a war is to make fighting impossible for everyone. Sir, So Young said to Admiral Kyung-min, I'm receiving fleet reports. Admiral Yu-jin's pacification fleet has powered down weapons. Admiral Dong-su's border patrol has stopped moving. They're all just waiting. Kyung-min understood why. Every council commander was looking at the same impossible situation. They had weapons that could destroy planets, but those weapons were useless against an enemy that could simply delete their ships from reality. There's something else, So Young continued. The quantum signatures aren't just around our military assets. They're around our civilian stations too. Our trade posts, our research facilities, our colonies. They're not targeting civilians, Kyung-min realized. They're targeting our ability to make war. Nari's voice came through the speakers again. Admiral, we need your decision. The quantum anchors will remain in place until every species in the galaxy agrees to peaceful coexistence. This isn't just about the Council. This is about creating a galaxy where no one can threaten others ever again. The other council members were talking among themselves in worried whispers. Some wanted to fight. Others wanted to negotiate. A few were already talking about surrender. But Kyung-min was thinking about something else. For 10,000 years, the council had ruled through fear. They had destroyed species that wouldn't obey. They had turned proud civilizations into servants. He had personally ordered the deaths of billions. Was he ready to give up that power? Was he ready to live in a galaxy where the council couldn't force others to obey? What guarantee do we have? He asked finally. How do we know you won't just become the new council? Nari smiled. Because, Admiral, we're giving the same technology to everyone. The statement hit the council chamber like a bomb. What? Every species that joins the new Democratic Alliance will receive quantum anchor technology. Everyone will have the power to defend themselves. No one will ever be able to conquer others again. It was the most radical idea in galactic history. Instead of keeping their superior technology secret, humanity was planning to share it with everyone. In one move, they would make every species equal and make conquest impossible. Admiral Kyung-min closed his eyes. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The only question now was whether it would end with dignity or with the Council's complete annihilation. He opened his eyes and looked at Nari's calm face on the screen. We surrender. The words "we surrender" echoed through the council chamber. Admiral Kyung-min had spoken them quietly, but everyone heard. After 10,000 years of ruling the galaxy through fear, the Galactic Council was giving up. Nari nodded respectfully. Thank you, Admiral. You've made the right choice. Around the galaxy, the news spread quickly. Council fleets stopped moving. Military bases went quiet. For the first time in thousands of years, there were no pacification missions happening anywhere. On Sol's promise, Captain Taeho watched Admiral Yu-jin's fleet power down their weapons. The 200 warships still looked dangerous, but they were no longer a threat. Admiral Yu-jin, Taeho said, your surrender is accepted. Your crews will be treated with respect. No harm will come to anyone who cooperates peacefully. Yu-jin looked defeated but also relieved. What happens to us now? You help us build something better, Taeho replied. The galaxy needs experienced military officers. But instead of conquest, you'll be protecting peace. Back on Earth, Hunnel was managing the biggest transition in galactic history. Her command center was busy with activity. People were coordinating with hundreds of species across thousands of worlds. Director, Mingi reported, we're receiving cooperation messages from 63 species. They want to join the new alliance, and what about resistance? Minimal. A few council hardliners are trying to rally support, but their fleets won't follow orders. Hard to start a rebellion when your ships can be deleted at any moment. Hanul smiled. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this day. Not just developing the technology, but understanding how to use it wisely. Young Sik approached with another update. Director, the Kalari delegation wants to meet. So do the Threxians. They're calling us the Liberators. Schedule meetings with everyone, Hanul said. But make sure they understand we're not their new rulers. We're their partners. That was the key to humanity's plan. Instead of replacing the council with human rule, they were creating something completely new. A galaxy where every species had equal power and equal voice. So Young was working frantically in the council chamber, trying to manage the collapse of 10,000 years of government. Reports came in from every corner of Council space. "Admiral," she said to Kyung Min, "the Aquarian colonies are declaring independence. The Kalari desert worlds are forming their own federation. Everyone's breaking away." Kyung Min wasn't surprised. For centuries, species had served the Council only because they were forced to. Now that the force was gone, they were free to choose their own paths. "What about our people?" he asked. "What happens to Council citizens?" Nari answered from the screen.
"Anyone who wants to join the new alliance is welcome."
"We're not interested in revenge, Admiral. We want cooperation." The transition happened faster than anyone expected. Within days, the old Council government had completely collapsed. Species that had been enemies for centuries were talking about working together. Without the threat of pacification, old conflicts seemed less important. Captain Taeho's final mission was to escort Admiral Yujin's fleet back to their homeworlds. The journey gave the Council officers time to think about their future. "Captain," Yujin said during one of their conversations, "I have to ask, how long were you planning this?" "Personally? About 20 years, Taeho replied. "But humanity as a whole? We started planning the day we learned about the Council, 247 years ago." "That's right. We spent all that time learning about you, your technology, your tactics, your weaknesses. But most importantly, we learned about your psychology." Yujin was curious. "What did you learn?" "That the Council ruled through fear, but was also driven by fear. Fear of being overthrown, fear of losing control. That fear made you predictable, it was true. Every Council decision had been based on maintaining power. They had never imagined someone might develop technology specifically designed to end their rule." "There's something I don't understand," Yujin said. "You could have used this technology to conquer us. Instead, you're sharing it with everyone." "Why?" Taeho thought for a moment. "Because conquest creates more problems than it solves. If we had become the new Council, someone else would eventually develop technology to overthrow us. By sharing our power with everyone, we make sure no one can dominate anyone else." Months passed. The new Galactic Democratic Alliance held its first meeting on a neutral world. Representatives from over 200 species attended. Each species had one vote, regardless of size or technology level. The Kalari sent Shinwu, the young worker who had first spotted human observer ships. The Threxians sent Yong-ae, the scout pilot who had encountered ghost ships. Even former Council species were represented. Admiral Kyung Min attended as well, now serving as a security advisor rather than a ruler. It was strange for him to sit as an equal among species he had once commanded. Nari served as the first Alliance president, but her term would only last 2 years. Then another species would take over. No one would rule permanently. The Alliance's first law was simple. Any species that used military force against another would face immediate quantum deletion of their war-making capability. Not their people, not their worlds, just their ability to wage war. The second law was equally important. The quantum anchor technology would be shared freely with all Alliance members. Everyone would have the power to defend themselves. Hanul watched the first Alliance meeting from Earth. Humanity had achieved something impossible. They had created peace by making war pointless. "Director?" Youngsik said, "We're receiving applications from 12 more species. They want to join the Alliance. Any problems?" "Just one. Some of our own people think we should keep the quantum technology secret. They say it makes us too powerful." Hanul shook her head. "That's exactly the kind of thinking that created the Council in the first place. Power shared is power strengthened." Captain Taeho's final log entry was simple. Mission completed. The galaxy is free. Sol's Promise returned to Earth as the most famous ship in galactic history, not because it had won a great battle, but because it had ended the need for battles. The quantum anchors remained in place throughout the galaxy, invisible guardians of peace. Any species that tried to build weapons of conquest found those weapons simply disappearing. Any government that tried to threaten others discovered they had no power to carry out threats. Wars didn't end completely. There were still disputes, still conflicts, still disagreements, but they were settled through negotiation and compromise, not through force. The age of galactic empires was over. The age of cooperation had begun. Years later, when historians studied the transition, they called it the Quantum Revolution. But the humans who planned it had a simpler name for their mission. They called it giving everyone the power to say no, And in a galaxy where everyone could say no to aggression, everyone could finally say yes to peace.